Good evening and welcome to round 2 of the UK and I Skip Barber series, coming from Silverstone Southern this week. As I said, it's round 2 of the championship and a bit of a departure this week. We're at a circuit that a lot of people will be familiar with, that being Silverstone on the Northamptonshire, Buckinghamshire border. I forgot where it was for a minute then. But using a configuration that probably a lot of people won't be familiar with, and it's a bit of a hidden gem, to be honest with you. We're on the Silverstone Southern circuit, a circuit configuration that doesn't really exist anymore, unfortunately, now that the building work has taken place at Silverstone and the GP circuit has been amended. A couple of the corners have got walls built across them, but it really is a great config. It's a circuit that's dominated by chicanes. There's 3 of them. One's fairly straightforward but represents a very good overtaking chance just after the start and forms turn 1 and 2, and then you've got the very tricky chicanes up the back straight at Abbey, and then into what is now what was then called the Island chicane, but doesn't really exist now, and that's it really is an exhilarating corner. My name is Marcus Narris and I'll be guiding you through the tears, tantrums, trials, tribulations and triumphs of the next hour or so, as we look at the guys in what is probably the most closely fought series on the iRacing service outside of the iRacing World Championship. Certainly there's some great driving in here, and it's as close as you can get in pretty much any league I've seen, so we're in for a good ride tonight. It should be very exciting, lots of close racing. As I said, it's round 2 of the series. Last week we had some fun and games at Okayama International Circuit, a race I was lucky enough to be a part of, and unfortunately didn't get the finish I'd like, but there we go. One of the features of these races is there tends to be a little bit of jostling and bumping and boring. That first round was taken by Wojciech Rabsztyn in an interesting battle, a battle that saw engines blowing and cars going off through attrition. So if we just run through the championship standings as they are following that first round, as I said, that first win taken by Wojciech Rabsztyn, so he leads the championship now with 30 points. Second is Marcus Hamilton of Friction Racing, 5 points back. Third is Stuart Adcock. Be looking to make up some pace tonight, but through the warm-up Stuart's been struggling with pace. He finds himself a good 5 or 6 tenths of a second down on the guys in front of him, and as we know in this Skip Barber series, that's an absolute ocean to try and swim across. Fourth was Dominic Brennan. Dominic's not with us tonight, so unfortunately he's not going to be able to progress and challenge Stuart ahead of him. Fifth is Tom Ward. Sixth is Alex Gillen. Seventh went to George Lee Wright. He's on 14 points. Eighth was Jonathan Maycock. Ninth is Keith Sharp. And rounding out the top 10 is Rob Green. Just outside the top 10 we got Robert Plumley, followed by Clive Armstrong, James Child, Wojciech Swirydowicz, who had not a great evening. He had contact and a blown engine last week, which has really caused him a few problems, and he's followed by Clark Williams and Ollie Peacock. So we've got a slightly different setup this week for the UK and I Skip Barber Championship. Due to the tight, twisty nature of the circuit, we've got closed qualifying tonight, so what we shall do is we shall try as hard as we can to keep you abreast of what's going on in qualifying, but obviously we'll only be able to see a single car on the track at a time. So if we can, what we'll do is we'll have a look at Stuart Adcock, who I mentioned earlier on, has been struggling for pace through the practice session. Stuart only managed 8th place in practice. These guys have been practicing now for an hour and 50 minutes. They don't just jump into these cars and start tearing around at an electrifying pace. It's a lot of work, a lot of laps throughout the week, and Stuart's been struggling. The best he could manage in that practice session was a 1:18.488, and as he comes to cross the start-finish line to begin his first flying lap, he's really going to be having to wring the neck of this Skip Barber. These guys have only got 3 laps to try and qualify, and those who know the Silverstone Southern circuit will know that unfortunately it's off-track heaven. The Abbey chicane, which Stewart is just running up towards now as he comes out of what was the old club corner. It's very, very difficult. It's got a nice, easy entry, but the second part of the chicane, the left-hander that he's just coming through now, is very much tighter, and it's very, very difficult as he runs two wheels on the grass there. You're always under a great danger of getting an off-track there and ruining your lap, and looking at the speed he's running, I'm not sure if he picked one up or not. He seems still to be going as he goes through the right-hander and through this very, very tricky right, left, right island chicane. It's very difficult then to get the car settled down as you join the old Grand Prix circuit at Beckett's, swing it through Chapel and then blast down the hanger straight. And what we'll see during the race is that hanger straight represents the best chance for all of these guys to overtake. Stowe in one of these low downforce medium power cars is defendable around the outside. If you can take that outside line, you can go all the way around the outside if someone does get a run on you, but certainly the hanger straight represents the best opportunity of all when it comes to trying to get an overtake. And Stewart posts a 1:19.062. He's first of all qualifiers next, all qualifiers at the moment. That is, however, still almost half a second slower than his quickest lap in warm-up. So the quick guy in practice was Martin Peck. Second was Marcus Hamilton. If we focus on the third place driver, Wojciech Swirydowicz, in the number 80 car, Swirydowicz finds himself in fourth place as everyone completes their first flying qualifying lap. Easy for me to say. He's posted a 1:19.2, so he finds himself about 3/10 down on the now leader of qualifying, Marcus Hamilton, as he thumps his way across the curbs going through that difficult island chicane. And this is the real hard bit of that chicane. It's getting the car settled down so you can hit your braking point, and that lap's gone for Wodge. Unfortunately, he ran way wider than he should have done going through Chapel, picking up Beckett's. He certainly would have picked up an off-track there. He won't ease off because it's only a short run now to the bottom of the hanger straight. He'll throw it through Stowe, through the long sweeping right-hander, and what we'll see is just as he crosses underneath the gantry that hangs out over the circuit, that denotes the start-finish line on this southern circuit. There's no circuit markings, but as we go underneath the shadow of the gantry, he starts his last chance, his last flying lap. So he sits fifth at the moment, and he'll be having to walk the tightrope between trying to wring the neck out of this Skip Barber and try and get himself to the front where he's more accustomed to be. But obviously he's going to have to take it easy and make sure that he doesn't cut the course or get any off tracks, which is very, very easy to do around here. So as all these guys start their last flying laps, the leader at the moment is the number 64 car, Marcus Hamilton. Just behind him and chasing hard is Martin Peck. So if we have a look at Martin's run a 1:18.7 for his second qualifying lap, and he finds himself second to Marcus Hamilton in qualifying at the moment by just 1/10 of a second. Hamilton with a 1:18.6, Peck with a 1:18.7, and as we can see, he's really doing everything he possibly can do on this final lap, this last chance for him as he comes running down the hanger straight, throws it as hard as he can do into Stowe, wanting to get the back to step out but not too far. You really want to try and get that back drifting around the corner, all over the curbs, a quick upshift and back under the gantry, and he can't improve, unfortunately. He does improve in terms of time. He manages a 1:18.6, but just as he crossed the line, Stuart Adcock, who we were speaking about earlier on, whose laps we were looking at initially, has thundered in on a 1:18.6. So as we see Stuart now just slowing down, just gathering his thoughts, I guess. He's put in a real great effort to throw that thing on what looks like it's going to be pole position. As I run through the top 10, everybody has completed their third lap, so I think we're fairly set with the qualifying positions as they are. I'll just quickly run through them for you. As we come to the end of qualifying, on pole position will be Marcus Hamilton with a qualifying time of 1:18.3, so very, very quick time in the officials. If you're a Skip Barber driver in the official iRacing series, you'll know that generally people run high 1:18s, low 1:19s if they're in that fast bracket. These guys obviously running a heck of a lot quicker than that. We have got slightly different weather conditions, but not substantially so. So Marcus on pole with a 1:18.3, followed by Stuart Adcock with a 1:18.6. Third on the grid is going to be Martin Peck, also with a 118.6, just a couple of hundredths of a second between Peck and Adcock. Fourth is Wojciech Swirydowicz, also on a 118.6, but a 118.68 for Swirydowicz. George Lambert on a 118.8 is fifth place. George Lee Wright, who's been putting on a really good showing in these UK&I BSR TV events, really cleaned up his act, and he's proven to be a very fast driver. Takes sixth place with a 118.89. Seventh is Rob Green with a 119.0. Just 0.02 of a second behind him is Tom Ward. Wow, Tom's been running really well this week in the official session, so it'll be really interesting to see what he can come up with from 8th place. I've certainly seen him run a hell of a lot faster than that this week, and he'll be keen to push on from 8th place on the grid. 9th place on the grid, my apologies. 10th is Phil Piercy. Oh, no, we've had a change. Someone obviously hung around. It's all changed for H place. Wojciech Rabsztyn has just dropped it into 8th place, so everyone moves down a second. Wojciech obviously got a very slow start to his qualifying session. The timing screen is just updated. So he takes 8th behind George Lee Wright. So Wojciech Rabsztyn on a 119.006. Then, as we said, we got Rob Green on a 119.017. Tom Ward on a 119.019. And unfortunately, that late charge by Wojciech Rabsztyn pushes Phil Piercy outside the top 10, and he'll start 11th. So a fairly interesting top 10 there. What is interesting to me is more the guys that aren't there that we've seen be quite quick so far. We saw Fahim Antonides very quick last week at Okayama International. But most of the usual suspects are in there. Obviously no Blake Townend in the championship thus far this season. But it's very interesting to see what's going to happen at the start, because that top 10, despite the fact it contains all the usual suspects, they're certainly mixed up. They're not in the order you would have expected them to be, and they certainly don't appear to be in the order that they managed in the qualifying session. Martin Peck was quickest in practice. In the practice session, Martin Peck was quickest in practice, and he only finds himself in 3rd place in qualifying. Counter to that, Wojciech Swirydowicz in the number 80 car could only manage 12th place in practice, and he's really stepped it up to qualify 5th in this closed qualifying session. Oh, and again, just to make a fool of me, the timing screen is updated again. So we're just talking about Wojciech Rabsztyn, who obviously left his effort very late. And when we get out of the session, he'll be getting a slap from me for leaving it so late and making things a little disjointed. He's just charged into 4th place. So with 9 seconds left of the qualifying session, and these guys get 3 flying laps or 10 minutes, whichever is completed first, will end the session. So with 9 seconds of that session left, he's just thrown that number 9 car into 4th place on the grid and just made a complete nonsense of the grid that I called out earlier on. So please forgive me, I'll go through the top 5 again. Pole position is Marcus Hamilton. 2nd is Stuart Adcock. 3rd will be Martin Peck. 4th now is Wojciech Rabsztyn with a 118.6, a fantastic effort, very late on from the driver that everyone calls Little Wodge. Big Wodge, Wojciech Swirydowicz, is directly next to him on the grid in 5th place with a 118.6. So a little bit of a change round at the top there. But certainly there's some very quick guys in the latter half of that top 10, and I, for one, I'm really looking forward to see what George Lambert can do from 7th place, what George Lee Wright can do from 8th place. They're both very quick guys, and they don't take any prisoners in the way that they race. Lambert certainly takes a very considered approach in the first couple of laps, but as soon as he gets a little bit of heat in the tyres, he starts to get comfortable with the car, he'll be letting the guys in front of him really have it. Right, so as the cars line up, start to line up on the grid to take the start, it's worth talking about the configuration of this circuit. For those of you who know Silverstone, the start-finish line is in the Vale, which is the run down from Stowe at the bottom of the Hanger Straight, running into what is now called the Club Chicane, and forms the penultimate and second to last and final corners of the new Grand Prix circuit. The sweep through what used to be Club Curve isn't so much a turn anymore. It's flat out for pretty much most series of Silverstone. So these guys will be trying to accelerate away from the line. They've got a run of about 150 yards, and then it's hard on the brakes as they go through the Club Chicane. They don't get the easy sweeping left-hand entry that used to be used down at the Vale. It's the big stop 90-degree left-hander that forms the first part of the Club Chicane. So as everyone's ready, everyone's on the grid, the lights are on, and they're away. Off they go, and Marcus Hamilton at the start gets a great start, but not as good as Stuart Adcock. Now if Stuart can hang around the outside, it's a great chance to overtake, but Marcus covers him off. Stuart has a look down the outside but can't make it stick, and it looks to me like pretty much everyone's got through there cleanly. It's a difficult place to get through, requires a lot of respect and a lot of good driving, but I can see lots of cars with wheels pointing in the right direction, and that's always a good sign in this Skip Barber Championship, as Marcus Hamilton leads Stuart Adcock through the Abbey Chicane for the first time, and they take this run up towards this tricky right left right island chicane, and this really is single file through here. If you're trying to go through here double file, the car on the left hand side, the car on the outside is usually asking for an off track, and the tolerance on that chicane is very, very close from it simply being an off track warning to getting a slowdown. So I'm sure we'll see a few guys getting a slowdown as we go through the session, as they make their way back onto the Grand Prix circuit, through Chapel and down onto the Hanger Straight. We've got Marcus Hamilton in the lead from Stuart Adcock. Pretty much line astern as you were. Martin Peck has hung on to third place, Wojciech Rabsztyn in fourth. Graham Carroll has made his way up to fifth place in front of Wojciech Swirydowicz. As we come to the end of the first lap, these guys slide the cars around Stowe, and believe me, they are really sliding as they go through there. It's the quickest way to get around that corner is to get that back end loose and hope the front end sticks for you, as these guys thunder through the Club Chicane for the second time at the beginning of the second lap. The order being Marcus Hamilton, who leads Stuart Adcock by 3.5 seconds. Behind him is Martin Peck, another 0.4 of a second back, 0.2 ahead of Wojciech Rabsztyn. Graham Carroll, as I said, has stolen fifth place from Wojciech Swirydowicz, and Swirydowicz won't be chuffed about that by any stretch of the imagination. And then for the Skip Barber series, there's a reasonably large gap back to George Lee Wright, half a second, which is eons in this series, believe me. And it looks to me, if we look slightly further down the field, Rob Green looks like he's having some problems. That car doesn't look fast, and indeed, as we say that, Phil Pearcey just flies up the inside of him, but overdoes it. Phil Pearcey in the number 180 has really overdone that, and he will certainly have a slowdown, and Phil needs to do the right thing and get out of the way there. And he does do the right thing. I think we're going to have another look at that again. And I think what you'll see there is Pearcey certainly got a bit carried away. I think he was caught out by the fact that Green was so slow, and Green continues to be slow, but Pearcey caught out there and yeah, overshoots the corner. So Rob Green in the number 22 machine is still slow, and as we speak he's being absolutely monstered by a voracious collection of Club 100 racers. He's got Jonathan Maycock trying to make a move around the outside of him going into the Club Chicane. Just up the inside of him now is Peter Cowan in the number 99 car. A great move by Peter Cowan, a very patient racer. Obviously could see what his teammate was trying to do to Rob Green, and Peter Cowan very cheekily did that to his teammate. As now we've got Jonathan Maycock being taken by Alex Gillen, so it's all change in the midfield, and we're going to see this as this race develops, as we go throughout this entire race, this 19-lap race. We're going to see a lot of shuffling and a lot of moving. It's one of those races where you don't necessarily want to be at the front. And speaking of the front, big move up front. Marcus Hamilton, for whatever reason, we didn't see what had happened as we were enjoying that midfield battle, but something's happened behind him. There's been a bit of a shake-up in position. Hamilton now leads by 1.2 seconds, and it looks like a hell of a lot more than that to me as he goes through Stowe. It's probably going to be about 1.5 seconds. Wojciech Rabsztyn is in second place now. Yeah, and just to confirm it, Marcus Hamilton now leads by the better part of 2 seconds. So I can only assume that there's been some fun and games behind him. and it's led to a bit of a shake-up. Rabsztyn now is in second place. Graham Carroll is in third place ahead of Martin Peck. Swirydowicz has hung on to fifth, so yeah, something has definitely happened there. Maybe we can try and find that for you maybe at the end of the race and try and find out what's happened. But we'll have a look at the end and we'll try and find out, but something's definitely happened there, and there's been a bit of a change round. So as I was saying on the last lap, half a second for George Lee Wright to the car in front seemed like a long way. Marcus Hamilton now leads by virtually a universe in terms of this this very tight series, and he's a very quick guy, and he'll be well aware that he's got blue skies in front of him and clear seas behind him, and he'll be just trying to churn lap after lap after lap. The big risk for the guys behind him, of course, is that they start fighting. Second place Rabsztyn is really leading a train of cars that is ended, if you like. The caboose of this train of cars is Tom Ward and George Lee Wright, who through their battling have left a little bit of a gap to Stuart Adcock in front of them. And those two guys really going at hammer and tongs. George Lee Wright tries to go around the outside in the first part of club, which gives you the inside line for the second. Ward leaves him just enough room. There was the width of a Skip Barber and an inch. George Lee Wright takes the shorter line through the corner. I personally don't like to see that. My view of the world is that the race track is the bit of tarmac between the two white lines, but it doesn't pay off for him, so a little bit of karma there maybe, and he's actually dropped back into the clutches a little bit of George Lambert. So a great battle. And as we say that, Rabsztyn in second place has just been... Graham Carroll has just thrown it up the inside of him going into the first part of the chicane there. It looks to me like he's managed to avoid any kind of slowdown. He definitely had at least two wheels, maybe all four wheels off the circuit as he went through the first part of the island chicane there. But he's thrown it in front of Rabsztyn, who is now sitting in his draft coming down the hanger straight, and he'll be trying to get past Graham Carroll in front just as Martin Peck and Swirydowicz behind him are sitting in each other's draft. And as they sort it out, as they come through Stowe, it's four cars all in a line, so we've got second, third, fourth and fifth all sat literally within half a second of one another, and these guys are nose to tail, and this is a great opportunity for Marcus Hamilton up front. This is what he'll be hoping for, that these guys are going at it hammer and tongs behind him and holding each other up. And indeed, Hamilton was able to draw away by 0.2 of a second on that lap, and in pure driving terms, that's a reasonable gap around this circuit in these cars. So these guys behind, beginning with Graham Carroll in second place, and little Wodge in the number 9 car, Martin Peck and Swirydowicz, they really need to just calm it down a little bit and be happy to follow each other around. It's a 19-lap race. It's a relatively long race, so all they're going to do by fighting is slow themselves down, unfortunately, which is a real shame, certainly from their point of view. And the race has started to break up into a series of mini trains with big battles. As I say that, George Lee Wright in the number 20 car gets it all wrong coming through Chapel and is all over the curb, and he certainly would have taken a slow down penalty. I think if we go back, we can have another look at that. As you'll see, he's trying to make the move around I think George Lambert alongside him, with Stuart Adcock there for close company. Lee Wright gets it horribly wrong, gets all over the grass and has to back out of it, so he finds himself losing at least 3 or 4 of a second to Adcock in front of him as they go through the right-hand part of the club chicane for the 7th time already. You know, these guys not hanging around, they're very, very happy to pressurise each other. If we look at the battle at the front now, Hamilton just continues to pull away. 2.6 seconds now from Graham Carroll. From Rabsztyn, who's taken that second place while we were looking at the Lee Wright battle. And just behind him, as I say that, Martin Peck thunders past Graham Carroll in front of him, again on that entry to that island chicane. So if you can get that right through the entry there, the other car has to back off. As I said, the real risk there is that you don't back off and you get yourself a slowdown penalty, and that's not going to cost you a place. That's going to cost you a good 2 or 3 seconds, and it's not 2 or 3 seconds through the twisty stuff, it's 2 or 3 seconds down the hanger straight, which is going to leave you completely adrift with no chance of catching back up. So as we go into the beginning of the 8th lap, I'll wait for the timing screen to update. It's still Marcus Hamilton in the number 64 car, way out in front now. 3.3 seconds ahead of Wojciech Rabsztyn. Martin Peck in 3rd now, Graham Carroll in 4th, but he's fighting to hold the number 80 car, that black, yellow, green and red car of Wojciech Swirydowicz behind him, and Swirydowicz is looking very, very racy to me. Things have settled down. He's letting the race come to him. And he is right on the tail of Martin Peck in front of him. As ahead, Wojciech Rabsztyn gets wide going through the second part of the Abbey chicane on the left-hander, and that's allowed Martin Peck to get alongside of him. In fact, drive all the way around the outside of him. There's contact. Rabsztyn just slightly contacts the rear wheel, the left rear wheel of Martin Peck's number 23 car in front of him. I don't think any harm was done. There certainly doesn't appear to be any damage to the front of Rabsztyn's car, but Peck will be very, very nervous about the handling of that car for the next couple of laps, and it looks to me like he got a slowdown penalty. Yep, Peck's off the gas. That contact just unsettled the car there, and he took too much curb going into that island chicane, and as we said, it's a very, very close thing from just being slightly off track and getting an off-track warning to actually taking a slowdown, and Martin Peck will be seething. Certainly it seems to me that wider line he had to take into the chicane was a consequence of the contact, and again Rabsztyn's looking very wild and woolly. It was a mistake he made coming out of the Abbey chicane almost exactly a lap ago that caused Martin Peck to get alongside him, and he seems to be sliding around all over the place, so he's possibly pushing slightly too hard in that number 9 car in front, and again he's very, very wide coming out of the left-hand section of the Abbey chicane, and again it allows a car to get alongside him. It's Graham Carroll this time who's alongside him and looking to sweep around the outside of him. Rabsztyn holds the inside line manfully. Graham Carroll manages to get back right in front of Wojciech Swirydowicz. The risk there, of course, is trying to slot yourself back into a space that is the length of a Skip Barber plus 1 inch is very, very tricky, and that was great driving from these 3 guys. They'll be very, very happy, and speaking of happy, just behind Wojciech Swirydowicz is Martin Peck, having taken his slowdown penalty. He'll be delighted that these guys are beating 7 bells out of each other, because it's holding them up and it's enabling him to recover from that slowdown penalty he had. And just behind him is a cluster of George Lambert, Tom Ward, Stuart Adcock, who are gaining on these guys all the time. So as we move into the beginning of lap 10, with the exception of Marcus Hamilton, who is romping away with this at the front, now 4.9 seconds. The fact, oh, and it looks like Graham Carroll's got Swirydowicz, and just behind him, got Rabsztyn, sorry, just behind him Swirydowicz takes a huge chunk out of the inside of that, that club corner. Again, something I'm really not a big fan of. But there we go, the game lets you get away with it. The simulation doesn't tell you that's a bad thing to do, so these guys fighting for every single thousandth of a second are going to do it. And up just in front of these guys again, Rabsztyn and Carroll. Rabsztyn with a outrageous move up the inside going into the island chicane. Carroll really has to get out of it, and I think Carroll probably took a bit too much curb there. I'll be very, very surprised if we don't see Graham Carroll lifting off the throttle and coasting as we go through. And there, indeed so, he got thrown too wide, this time by a great move from Wojciech Rabsztyn, who Carroll, to be fair, didn't see coming, I don't think, and a real brave move by Wojciech Rabsztyn, who now finds himself in a reasonably clear second place. He's got a good 10-12 car lengths between him and George Lambert, who just slides it up the inside of Wojciech Swirydowicz behind him. So Lambert takes 3rd, Swirydowicz is 4th, and behind him there's an almighty battle between the recovering Martin Peck, Tom Ward, Stuart Adcock and George Lee Wright has cruised up to the end of these guys with relative ease due to all this fighting that's going on. So as we begin lap 11, we've got a 6.1 second gap now from Marcus Hamilton back to Wojciech Rabsztyn, who himself has got a 1.4 second gap back to George Lambert. And as I say that, George Lambert loses 3rd place to Wojciech Swirydowicz, who outbrakes him going into the Abbey chicane, manages to gather it up and not be incredibly slow on the apex. That's great driving from Wojciech Swirydowicz. That's incredibly difficult to do, that. lean on the brakes and get the inside line on the way into that chicane, and still come out of the chicane with enough pace that you're not absolutely monstered on the way out. So these guys now back from third place with Wojciech Swirydowicz in the number 80 car, all the way to George Lee Wright, and behind him Graham Carroll in the 29 car. So third to ninth now, covered by less than 2.5 seconds. And as these guys fight, they're really starting to form one long train of 1, 2, 3, 4, 7 cars. And if they continue to battle, then it looks like Wojciech Rabsztyn's very aggressive, but for the most part fair tactics in the early part of this race, and taking no prisoners through that island chicane. It looks like it's paid off for him, because he looks like he's got a relatively settled second place. And he's able to do what Hamilton in front has done and take advantage of a little bit of fresh air to get away from the guys behind him who are fighting hammer and tongs. And again, they've paired off. Swirydowicz and Lambert, Peck and Ward, literally drafting side by side, and Ward tries to go around the outside of Martin Peck in front of him, but thinks better of it as they go through the Abbey chicane on the run up again to this tricky island chicane. And I think this time these guys will be trying their best to just take it single file through the chicane. I don't think anybody wants an off track at this stage of the game, and they'll look to stay close and take advantage of the draft as they move down the hanger straight. So we're now on lap 12 of this race. It's a 19 lap race, as I said. We all pause and take breath, me more than most. It's been a great race to watch so far, and hopefully you've been able to follow it as we try and keep you up to date with as many different battles as possible. There's battles all the way through the field. If we look at the number 12 car of Alex Gillen, he's having all kinds of fun and games trying to keep Rob Green in the other GR Racing car, George Lambert's teammate. He's having all kinds of fun and games trying to keep that car behind him, and as I say that, he runs wide. These guys are going to give me a hard time every time I focus on someone tonight. They seem to make a mistake, so I could be in trouble after the race. But that's wide exit, and the slow drift down the Vale for Alex Gillen has meant now that we've got another mini train forming. We've got a 4-car train of Gillen in 11th place, Rob Green behind him in 12th, Keith Sharp in 13th, and Clive Armstrong in 14th place, all running pretty much nose to tail. And it'll be interesting to see what that happens as these guys are going past a very, very slow Tom Ward. I didn't see what happened there. We're going to try and have a look on the video and see what happened then, but Ward was very, very slow coming out of yeah, he's just lost it, unfortunately. He's dropped it ever so slightly as we're able to find out what happened there. He's dropped it in the chicane, unfortunately, under his own steam, and I think he finds himself way back in, I think that's 12th position now, and that's a real shame for Tom Ward. He was doing an excellent job, and indeed he's down in 13th position now. I think ahead of Clive Armstrong in 14th. But it'll be interesting to see him. He's, with all due respect to the guys around him, he's much, much quicker than certainly the guys in front of him, and he'll be keen to make up as many places as he can do. So we'll keep an eye on that as we go through the race. So if we turn our eyes back to this battle for third, fourth and fifth, you can see Wojciech Swirydowicz getting absolutely monstered by two green and white GR Racing machines. He's got George Lambert behind him. George was all over the curbs, and I think is another victim of the dreaded slowdown. Is he? No, he's just had to take a very wide line, and maybe thought it'll give Martin Peck in the number 23 car a chance to have a go at Wojciech Swirydowicz. It's not really fair, guys, ganging up on the poor bloke, but Swirydowicz is really going to have his work cut out to keep those guys behind him, as just behind them in the blue number 29 car of Graham Carroll has cruised up to this little battle. So as we suspected, as this race has shaken out, Hamilton is away and clear now by nearly 7 seconds. In fact, I'm sure it'll be 7 seconds by the time he crosses the start-finish line to begin his 15th lap. Wojciech Rabsztyn has managed to pull away as well. He's a good 2.5 seconds clear of this battle. And now we've got a train for third, fourth, fifth and sixth. Unfortunately, Graham Carroll in the number 29 machine there deciding to this is too easy for him, so he wants to try a little bit of rallycross, maybe just mix it up a bit. Somehow keeps it going, keeps it pointed in the right direction, and it doesn't really cost him anything. As ahead of him, Wojciech Swirydowicz runs very, very, very wide through club, and he's going to be swarmed by those GR Racing cars. Martin Peck thought about it, looked left, looked right, couldn't find a safe move, so did the right thing and just tucked back in behind Swirydowicz. But if these guys can keep it in check, if they can keep it in control through this island chicane as they exit into Beckett's and swing around into Chapel and onto the Hangar Straight, those two GR Racing cars are going to have a great run. As I say that, Lambert in the second GR Racing car, the number 6, gets it very, 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 very sideways going into the final part of Ireland, and just manages to fight off Graham Carroll. So as they come swarming down the Hangar Straight again, it's Wojciech Swirydowicz in third place, hanging on by what is literally a single car length from Martin Peck, and Martin Peck decides on this occasion not to have a run down the inside of him, or does he? As I say that, Wojciech Swirydowicz runs a little bit wide. Peck certainly didn't try a move there, but Swirydowicz ran wide and nearly manufactured one for him. Peck holds back and Swirydowicz swings out to the right to make sure he's got the good line going into the first part of the club chicane. As I say, if you can get your car positioned around the outside of the car in front of you, going through that that left-hand piece, sorry, you're set up for the right-hander, and you can take the place away and make it stick. So as we move into the last few laps of this race, the closing stages, it's all to play for, and we've got 5 cars here fighting hard for this last podium place, as again Swirydowicz sticks his right-hand wheels on the grass, and while that doesn't damage you necessarily from the point of view of taking a slowdown, you've got to get out the gas there, otherwise that car will just go around on you. All the weight as you exit that left-hand part of that club Abbey chicane, sorry, is on that right-hand side of the car, and if you get back on the gas when that right-hand wheel is on the grass, it will spit you around before you know it's happened, and it's not something you can really save, unfortunately. So things settle down a little bit in relative terms. There's a little bit of a gap, 0.3 of a second now between Swirydowicz and Peck behind him. George Lambert lines up behind him as we see Graham Carroll now have a look down the inside of George Lambert, and I don't think he's going to be able to make that stick, and what he's done is he's given Stuart Adcock a chance to get that outside line into the chicane, and Adcock's on the grass. Oh, he gets very, very loose on the braking. He's trying to get that outside line so he can get the inside line into the right-hand part of the club chicane. Can't make it work, unfortunately, for Adcock. Carroll did an excellent job, closed the door, and Stuart Adcock had to get a couple of wheels on the grass there, and as he applied the brake, you saw that car get very, very loose under braking, and it was going to be get off the throttle, get out of it, or have an accident, and he did the right thing. Discretion being the better part of valor. These guys have still got another couple of laps to beat lumps out of one another. So let's have a quick look back up front again, and as we see Marcus Hamilton very, very serenely making his merry way around this Silverstone Southern course. Must be wondering what all the fuss is about. 8.1 seconds ahead now, and you know, for him it's got to seem fairly serene. He's just coming up to catch some lap traffic ahead of him in the shape of Jonas van Verveke in the 516 car, but I don't think that's going to be an issue. Jason McCurry is also stopped. I know he's in 31st place, I believe. He's parked it, so his day's over. So Hamilton serenely, probably humming a happy tune, having a nice Sunday drive out all on his own, begins his penultimate lap. He will be wondering what all the fuss is about. Behind him, Wojciech Rabsztyn has got a bit of a gap himself. A good 1.5, 2 seconds back to Wojciech Swirydowicz, and if we go back to Swirydowicz in the number 80 again, as he tries to enter the Abbey chicane, he's getting hassled in a serious way by Martin Peck behind him, and Peck just can't get enough of that green and white GR Racing car alongside Svidović's car to make a place stick. You can guarantee that given the poor results Swirydowicz had last week, he will be hanging on to this third place for grim death, and it's really going to take something fairly special from Martin Peck to get it away from him. That said, as they come out of Chapel, they're caught up in traffic. Alan Patterson there slowed Swirydowicz as they came through Chapel and onto the hanger straight. Nothing Patterson could do, of course. It was just dumb luck that Swirydowicz caught him through a twisty part of the circuit, and what that's allowed to happen is Martin Peck now is right up behind Wojciech Swirydowicz, pushing him almost around the right-hander at Stowe, and as they run down through the Vale, across the start-finish line to start their 19th lap, their final lap. This is going to be Peck's last chance to take this place away, so we'll stay with this battle. Hamilton secure in first place, Rabsztyn relatively secure in second place, albeit these guys are getting closer. I think Rabsztyn's backing off. This is going to be Martin Peck's last chance to get Wojciech Swirydowicz, so we'll stay with this battle as they swing through the Abbey chicane, and Peck's close. I don't think he'll have a go at him going into the island chicane. I think he's going to try and get as close as he possibly can on exit from the island chicane and try and get a run at him down the hanger straight, and that absolutely is going to be Peck's last chance to get himself on the podium. It's all clean and tidy as they go through Ireland for that last time. And this is the key. A great exit from Beckett's and through Chapel from Peck. He got a fantastic drive, and he's parked right up behind Wojciech Swirydowicz. Now, Swirydowicz very, very close to Wojciech Rabsztyn. These guys, 1, 2, 3, as quickly as you can say it, screaming down into Stowe, and as we see Marcus Hamilton cross the finish line and give it a quick flick of joy, these guys, Rabsztyn, Swirydowicz and Peck, they can't change positions, and they cross the line exactly in that order. Behind them, George Lambert takes a very, very well-deserved, very, very hard-earned fifth place. Stuart Adcock is going to bring it home in 6th place. George Lee Wright has taken 7th place, so George Lee Wright makes up just 1 place from where he started, and a little bit of tomfoolery at the end there, to be honest with you. Rob Green couldn't improve on his starting position. Poor old Rob Green finds himself down in 18th place, so we'll have a look at what happened to him. Tom Ward finished in 8th, Alex Gillen was 9th, and Peter Cowan doing a great job. As I said before, Peter Cowan, a very patient driver, and he's happy to make up a couple of places from his qualifying position to bring it home in 10th. So just to give you a full run through, the final result as you see it, first was number 64 Marcus Hamilton in a race time of 24 minutes 56 seconds .879. 9.1 seconds in the end behind him was Wojciech Rabsztyn. Did a cracking job in the early part of the race, very robust, managed to pretty much force everyone that was fighting him in that second place into mistakes. A great demonstration of aggressive driving there. Third place is Wojciech Swirydowicz in the number 80. In the end, just 0.3 of a second behind Wojciech Rabsztyn. Fourth was Martin Peck. Fifth, George Lambert. Sixth, Stuart Adcock. Seventh was George Lee Wright. Eighth was Tom Ward. Ninth, Alex Gillen. And rounding out the top 10 was Peter Cowan in the number 99 machine, some 21.5, 22 seconds behind your race winner, Marcus Hamilton. So, wow, yeah, pretty breathless stuff. A very good race, and I'm sure you'll agree this southern circuit at Silverstone is a fantastic circuit. It produces fantastic racing, and as we come out of this with the reversal of last week's results, so you may recall, regular viewers, that last week Wojciech Rabsztyn took the win from Marcus Hamilton. So those two guys swapping positions means that as we finish this second round, if my maths are correct, and they're fairly shonky at the best of times, we've got a tie at the top, both Wojciech Rabsztyn and Marcus Hamilton sitting on 55 points. Tied atop the championship after the second round, and that's what we're going to see, I think, through the series, is that it's going to be very, very close. Literally one poor result can really cause you a problem, and Wojciech Swirydowicz there in third place in this race will be delighted to pick up a good haul of points. 21 points for third place will go some way to softening the blow of a really bad result by his standards last week, of 14th place. So as we said at the start, this is a great configuration, and for those of you that haven't run this Silverstone Southern configuration, it is great fun in underpowered cars. Anything with any downforce just eats it alive, but if you get a chance, have a run. It's good fun in the MX-5. The Spec Racer Ford is absolutely fantastic around here, and as you've seen tonight, these Skip Barbers, they are truly brilliant. They're really, really good stuff. It's good, clean racing, and believe me, there are a few thrills in iRacing as great as trying to thunder as fast as you can through that island chicane and still keep the car pointing in the right direction as you go through Beckett's and Chapel. As you've seen tonight, these guys made it look reasonably easy. There's some great driving from all round. I'm sure Marcus Hamilton will be absolutely delighted with that result. I know for a fact that Swirydowicz is chuffed to bits with his result. He made it very clear he was a very happy bunny as he typed in chat after the race. So I hope you all enjoyed that as much as I did. It got a bit frantic at times. Please don't forget that if you're a fan of this close bumper-to-bumper racing, we'll have more bumper maybe than racing tomorrow night, as the BSR GT Championship here on BSR TV comes live from Sebring, and for my sins, I'll be back calling the play-by-play on that one for you. Sebring's a fantastic circuit, and the combination of McLaren, the BMW Z4 GT3s, and the rough track car, really exciting. And I think we're going to see a bit of a change in the balance of power going into Sebring with that long back straight. I think the McLarens, the few of them that are in the championship, are going to come to the fore. So please, if you find yourself at a loose end tomorrow, or even if you've got a hot date, cancel it. I'm sure you'd much rather spend an evening in my company watching guys smash into each other than out with your friends or the other half. Don't forget also Thursday nights we have the BSR TV BSR Touring Car Championship. Always fun to watch. We keep the virtual panel beaters in business there, so a lot to look forward to this week, as these guys will be thundering around the Suzuka circuit. Not a circuit that's used to 40-odd touring cars smashing hell out of one another, but believe me, it's a great spectacle, and if it's something you've never watched before, again, cancel your plans on Thursday night, and if you're really lucky, you get to watch me being taken out on the last lap, as tends to happen. So a lot of great sim racing coming up for you this week here on BSR TV on YouTube. Thanks for joining us this evening. I've been Marcus Narris. Thanks very much to Laura Bond, who's been providing the cameras and also keeping me up to date by yelling in my ear when something exciting has been going on at the other end of the circuit. So thanks very much, Laura. As I said, please join us next week. If you can, join us tomorrow night. Join us Thursday. And with that, we'll end there, and I wish you all a good night.